Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So carrying on with the Tokai guitars that I've been doing, I have a pair of these Tokai Goldstar sounds, the HSS one and the free single coil one as well. And I will put one of these down a sec, be easier to show you around. I'll go over some specs like normal and then I'll tell you what I think about these guitars. So body wise, you have an older body and that is a maple neck with the Jatoba fingerboard that we've seen on all of them except for the Telly, I think it was. So that's their sort of, you know, rosewood alternative. It's quite a nice bit of wood as well, to be fair.
Phrasing.
And this is the headstock just here. You got a real bone nut as well. You truss rod adjustment, and then the tuners are once again these vintage Clousson style. I call them top loaders because the string goes in at the top, which is nice and easy. And then, you know, the rest of it is usual sort of S-type stuff, 5-way switch, single volume, 2 tones, and a trem there as well. So, like I said, with also, just quickly, with the specs of all these Tokai guitars, it's been a real pain to find like proper in-depth spec lists for all the model numbers. There is not one place that has every single model and all of the spec, you know, corresponding to that. It's really strange how that's not the case, because one thing that I've noticed with these guitars pretty much as soon as I started playing with them, and it's not listed anywhere, and it might be handy, you know, if nothing else, you'll learn this in this video. The radius of the fingerboard on this type of guitar, if it was vintage spec, you'd say it'd be 7 1/4, which is very sort of curved. But generally speaking, you're looking at sort of 9 1/2 is quite common on an S-type guitar. But this has the same radius as a Les Paul, or, you know, the Gibson radius, 12 inches. So, and you can't find that listed anywhere. I've had to get my own radius gauge out and check that. So, you know, that's just a little extra thing that it's just weird how it's not listed anywhere, but it doesn't, you know, I like it and it works really well for these guitars. So, these guitars are priced at around £550, that sort of price point. And at that price point, and this will tie on to a point that I want to make in a second, at that price point, I have a sort of set list of standards in my mind, and they're quite high standards of what I want the guitar to be. And, you know, that would include things like I want the whole fit and finish to be right, I want all the electrics to be right, I want the guitar to be very stable, staying in tune. You know, I don't want to have any kind of problems setting it up with intonation and stuff like that. I want the machine heads to be nice and tight as well. And, you know, all these things. I want the weighting to be right. The neck carve is another thing really important. So at that price point, that's where I start being less forgiving then with a guitar, because some people, you know, they can afford to just buy like custom shops or US made this and that, and that's where their expectation would be, you know. But I have the same expectation at a lower price point, because I just think that, you know, if you're like a working musician and you spend that much on a guitar, it should serve you really, really well. And with all of these Tokai guitars, I'll bring the other one back, why not, for something to look at. With all of these Tokai guitars, these included, that expectation has been completely met, you know, with no issues at all. The stability, the tuning, you know, everything about the guitar has completely met that expectation, and therefore I'd be more than happy to kind of, you know, recommend them or stand behind them kind of thing. But in the last video, I said, in the Les Paul video, I said that Tokai guitars tend to do the Gibson stuff phenomenally well, and then I said more so than they do the sort of Fender stuff. And I just want to touch on that a little bit more, because I think that, you know, it kind of needs explaining a bit better than that. And what I mean is that the SG and the Les Paul that I just did, those guitars met all of those standards that these meet, but then once I'd spent a bit of time with them, they took me to a place that was like way higher than my own standards. You know, they really sort of exceeded what I was expecting them to be, and that is why I kind of said what I said. And these guitars, you know, they are great guitars. It's just they meet those standards, and that's kind of, you know, as far as they go in my own kind of opinion. And those of you that watched the CT50 video that I did, which is relevant to this in a way, because they are both similar format guitars, they're both very similarly priced guitars, and, you know, anyone that's watched that video, and to be fair, the Cutlasses in general, will know that I have stood behind and made some pretty bold claims about those guitars. And And therefore, you know, you might wonder, well, now he's got these, which does he say is better, you know, because they're so similar kind of thing. And I won't lie to you, I prefer, for me personally, the CT50. It's just that guitar, the way it sounds, the pickups, the way, you know, just the whole guitar in general. The neck carve is the biggest, you know, difference really again. I would say the CT50 is a nicer S-type guitar still. It's still king of the S-type, I think I called that video. But just bear in mind that that is only my opinion. And these videos, you know, just use them as very rough kind of guides, you know, because I am just one guy, you know. I'm just one guy with an opinion like everyone else. And really, I would encourage anybody, you know, that's going to be a potential owner of these guitars that they watch videos on, to go and try them and get different opinions on them as well, you know, because like I said, it's just my one opinion. So, you know, see, you know, take that for what it is kind of thing. Let me know what your sort of thoughts on that is. And I'll just end this on one nerdy little thing that I thought would be funny to show you. You see the 12 fret inlay just there? If I do just this and cut the headstock off, you wouldn't necessarily know what brand I was holding, you know, and that goes for a lot of these S-type guitars. But the way that 12th inlay is, on a lot of non-Fender S-type guitars, those dots are much further spaced apart. On a Fender, those 12 fret dots are much closer together. So that's one of the ways you can tell if a neck is a Fender neck or not. I just thought it'd be a funny little detail to end this quite lengthy talky bit on. So we'll move on. The next part of the video, I will show you the differences in these guitars. We'll play through them. So obviously you've got the humbucker on this one. And just one final little thing, because I've got them both on my leg and I forgot to say, is that as far as strats go, these two guitars, they are not lightweights. They're quite heavy as far as strats go. And of all the strats that I've kind of had come and go, which is a lot, I've always found that the heavier ones, for some reason, they tend to just have a bit more about them. So I consider that as a good thing. And weirdly, with Les Pauls, it's the opposite. I found that the lighter they are, to some extent, you know, the better they kind of sound. So that's, you know, another thing to discuss in the comment section. So, like I said, we'll move on to the next part. Hopefully you've taken something from this video, and I will see you again on the next one.